How's it going, everybody? This is Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What up, Will?
Whoa, what up?
Ready to go.
Yeah.
How you doing today, man?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Tournaments
Ready
all
to go.
day. There's tournaments everywhere. Got a wedding to go
There
to later.
is. Oh, hey,
This
shout out
weekend.
John.
Shout out John.
Shout out John. Happy for that guy. But hey, welcome everybody to Story of the Fight, where we talk all things mixed martial arts, sometimes weddings, sometimes tournaments.
Yeah.
We never know what's going on. But if this is your first time joining us, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. We're trying to reach 3,000 subscribers. I think we're at 2,500 right now, are we?
Yeah, like a little bit over 2,500.
Okay.
Close.
Yeah. And if you don't want to watch us on the YouTubes, where else can they find us, Will?
Yeah, it's Story of the Fight everywhere. The video streams on Twitch and Twitter, as well with YouTube. Also, after the fact, it'll be on video on Spotify. But it's Story of the Fight everywhere. If you go to storyofthefight.com, it'll have all our links: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit. Just click through them, subscribe. And
if you can't find us, you're just really not trying that hard.
Yeah, and that's
it's Story of the Fight everywhere.
If you don't like us, you don't like us.
No, it's not. Just get all angry right now. Oh man, but hey, we had some fights on last night.
Yeah, a big card.
Yeah. So you want to go ahead and jump right into it?
Yeah, and I apologize if things are a little choppy. Rich, speaking of tournaments, Rich is participating in a Street Fighter 6 tournament right now, so we hope for him. Hope the best for him. But
is
what
that the
means
newest one
for the show? Yeah, it just came out. But what that means for the show?
Tournament for it?
Yeah, dude. He called me yesterday and was telling me about it, and he's like, "Dude,
Jeez.
I placed," and I was
oh,
like,
shit.
Whoa.
That's crazy. Good for him, man.
Good for him. What that means for the show is it's gonna be a little choppy because your boy's doing the
rough for
slideshow
us.
and all that
Good
stuff.
for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Well, let's see how it goes. We can go and get started with Amir Albazi versus Kai Kara France.
Yeah, I was pretty hyped for this fight
lately, huh? So was I.
He's had some ups and downs. You know, he's had some ups and downs where he every time he gets to that point, he gets something happens, right? He'll get body kicked by Brandon Moreno, or he'll lose a decision or something like that. Or the Brandon Royval fight, right, where he has him hurt, he's about to put him out, and then Royval just comes back and beats him. So he's had some ups and downs. And in this one, I was like, Albazi, like, yeah, he's 16-1 going into this fight or something like that.
Yep.
But he hasn't really like proven that he belongs in the top echelon of the division, right? Mm-hmm. He could be, but it's kind of unknown because we haven't really seen him face that level of competition. And I was like, I don't think he's going to be able to get this over Kai Kara France. I was like, Amir Albazi, he's been out for a while. It's going to be tough to just jump right into the top 5. And I don't know. What did you think? I don't think he did.
I mean, look, I'm right there with you, right? Because and no knock to any of the other guys, but he beat Malcolm Gordon, Zuma Gulov, Francisco Figueiredo, not the good Figueiredo,
the one that's not in the UFC anymore.
Yeah, Alessandro Costa, and then boom, you're facing Kai Kara France, somebody that went for the title recently. I believe he was ranked 3rd, so I was right there with you, man. I thought Kai Kara France was going to be able to pull this one off. Kai Kara France seemed pretty active, man. I wish he would have continued using that double jab a little bit more because it looked like he was working really well off of it. So whether it was the double jab and then the leg kick, or the double jab and then he would find the right sometimes off the double jab. But going into this fight, even the announcers made a point. He was like, hey, who was it? Bisbing. I talked to Kai Kara France going into this, and he said, hey, well, I got my right hand.
Yeah.
I talked to Albazi, and Albazi said, all he has is that right hand. So kind of already knowing what the game plan is going to be. And there was a few times where I felt like Kai Kara France really, really pushed for that right hand, where he might have left a few other things on the table because he was looking for that right hand so much. But I still thought that he had done enough to edge this one out.
So for me, what I thought, it's same thing, especially at the end of that first round, the last minute of that first round, it was a very slow round. It was like a feeling out process, right? Amir Albazi walking him down, both of them kind of fainting, not going. But the last minute of that round, Kai Kara-France did find that jab, like you were saying, and I was like, "Oh, that's the game changer going forward for this fight."
Yep.
Kai Kara-France found his jab first. That's going to be a difference maker if it stays on the feet. And then the second round started, and he's like, "What jab?" And I was like, "Oh no, he found it." That being said, it was funny too. After the first round, they had this like cool stare down right after it, and I was like, "Ooh, feeling out process is over. These boys about to go to war." And then they did not at all.
Yeah,
they never really got out of second gear until that third round, where Albazi did get a takedown, and he took his back. He got the choke in.
Dude, that was close.
I thought he was gonna get it, man.
That was so close.
Just from his face, I was like, "Oh no, here comes the tap." That sucks because I was really rooting for him. I'm gonna try to not be biased in this one, but I was rooting for him. I like the guy.
For Kai Kara-France.
Yeah. And in my opinion, this is the only clear round for Albazi. Was this third round?
Yeah. He almost finished him. It was close.
I mean, yeah, it was the closest to the fight ending was this round, and it was Albazi. Yep. Outside of this round, I thought Kai Kara-France did a fantastic job with his takedown defense. And man, maybe the optics of it was Kai Kara-France's back was against the fence most of the fight, and so they're like, yeah, he's taking that, like Albazi's pressuring him. He's the one that's winning, but man, that's not the case. The whole time. I mean, the thing that bothered me with Albazi outside of this round, for 4 rounds, he was pressuring well, but he was just fainting, and he just kept fainting, never actually throwing. And it's like, man, you can't just faint. The fainting only works if you're also throwing. You know what I mean? Like, because if I'm Kai Kara-France, I'm like, cool, I'll just watch these feints, wait for him to shoot for the takedown. And that's basically what he did. I mean, and he outstruck him. You know?
Yeah.
In my opinion, go ahead. My bad.
I was just gonna say by a wide margin, right? And I know that the judges don't have those numbers in front of them, but they're watching the fight.
They shouldn't need them.
Yeah, they're watching.
Dude, when you outstrike a guy 27-5 in one round, I don't need to see the numbers to. I can learn that from watching.
It's obvious
when it's obvious. And that was the 4th round, which Chris Lee, I think it was Chris Lee, gave that round to Albazi.
Yeah,
it was like in a round with no grappling, really. 27-5 significant strikes, and he gives it to the guy with 5 strikes. And it's not like he hurt him. It's not like those 5 strikes did a ton of damage, you know?
Yeah. And who was it? I think it was what's his name?
Sal D'Amato and Chris Lee, I think, gave Albazi the win.
That's who it was.
But at least Sal didn't give him the 4th round.
Israel Adesanya is the one that posted about it, right?
Yeah. Saladin's nuts or something.
He wasn't too happy about it.
I mean, it was a pretty bad decision, man. I think the first 2 rounds were pretty close. The 3rd round was a clear Albazi round. 4 and 5 were dominant rounds for Kai Kara-France, in my opinion. And you could argue that Albazi took 2 rounds, but he did not take 3. He did not take 3 rounds.
And he said it. I believe he tweeted it. I'm looking up on the Instagram right now, and it's not on Instagram, so I'm guessing it was just through Twitter. But he said why not have these judges in the post-fight press conference? The first 10 minutes, just have them go in there, explain some of these decisions, what it is that they saw. It just gives them some type of accountability, you know, where they actually have to.
Who's going to do that, though? The UFC can't tell them to be in a UFC press conference.
No, I know, because they're hired or employees of the commission.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, there's just got to be some type of accountability.
I mean, that's the way they want it. That's the way that the commission wants it. So nothing's going to change. Nothing's ever going to change with that unless somebody else takes over the commission and is like, I'm going to clean this up, because we can't argue. At this point, I'm done saying it's incompetence. Like, it used to be, these are boxing judges. They don't know what they're watching. No, not anymore. Not anymore. This is just corruption.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny?
They have to put Adelaide Bird at the head of this to clean this up, okay?
Yeah. What's crazy is the when the odds flipped, they showed the live odds during the fight. I think it was during the 5th round where it was like Kai France minus 400. I was like, this is not a bad bet on Albazi right here, just because some of those rounds were close. I would not be surprised if the judges gave it to him. And I was like, I think it was like plus 600 or something crazy like that. And I was like, that's not bad right now. But
Yeah.
I didn't do anything about it. But I did have the thought.
We should, man.
So,
we should do something about it through BetUS.
Through BetUS.
Yeah.
Figure that
next
out.
time. Maybe next time.
Maybe
All right.
A little hint there.
Huh? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what's next for Kai France? Amir Albazi probably jumps him in the rankings, right? Probably lands on.
I don't think
on
he jumps
there.
him.
You don't think so?
He was 7, right, going into this.
Yeah.
7. I think he ends up at like 5. I don't think he jumps.
Really?
Him. Yeah, not in this division.
Okay. Well, hopefully he doesn't, because I still feel like Kai France kind of, should be up there in the top 5.
He won this fight, and Albazi. It was a close fight, but man, he didn't do anything in this fight that I was like, ooh, this guy's a contender. If you're ranked number 3, you're a contender, and
he's going to be a tough out, no matter what. Though Albazi, he's tough. Yeah. He's a strong grappler.
He's got to learn from this one though.
He'll be. Yes, absolutely.
He should take this like a loss and learn from it as if he lost this fight.
So we had Brandon Moreno versus Alexander Pantoja next, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. You still have Davison Figueiredo that's ranked up there, number 2.
Yeah, but he's moving up, so he shouldn't.
He's moving up. So really, maybe Brandon Royval versus.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Albazi. Winner gets
that's
title
not bad.
shot.
Yeah, Kai France versus Manel Cap. Let's go.
Oh, dude, sign me up.
That's the move because he's got to fight down. He lost. He's ranked number 3. He's not going to fight up, so he's got to fight down. Manel Cap was just booked twice against Figueiredo, and Figueiredo pulled out both times.
Whack.
So if he was about to fight number 2, might as well just have him fight Kai France. That's the move.
Might as well.
That's a great fight too.
It is a really good fight. Do you want to move on to the co-main?
Speaking of great fights.
Our boy Alex Caceres versus Daniel Pineda. Alex Caceres, the guy that does our intro. Bruce Leeroy with a nice garden.
I believe he was the first active UFC fighter we ever interviewed. Right?
Was he?
I think so. Because we had interviewed Chris Levin, but obviously he's retired.
Yes. No, Frank Camacho was active.
Shout out Frank Camacho. What a legend.
Yeah, shout out Frank Camacho. He was active.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Alex Caceres, super cool dude. Super cool dude. So I have been a huge fan. I was a huge fan before. I'm a huge fan now, especially after we found out that he's the nicest guy.
Yeah.
But the evolution of Alex Caceres in the last couple of years, we're witnessing it.
It's been so
We're witnessing an evolution of a great fighter.
Someone was like, I saw on Reddit, someone was like, since when did Bruce Leeroy become like must watch? And I was like, dude, he's always been must watch, win or lose. Even if
since the streets of Miami.
Yeah, I was like, even if he's losing, because he had a tough run when he started his UFC career, where he lost like more than a handful of fights. But even in those fights, they were still fun fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
Like it doesn't matter if you're winning or losing. I want to see someone entertaining. That's Bruce Leeroy. I've been a fan since Ultimate Fighter. That was a great season.
He almost finished him too. So Caceres, right?
Yeah.
His hands have been coming alive, man. His kicks have always been money, but there's another level of aggression that I'm seeing from Alex Caceres. He's not sitting and waiting a lot of times. He's trying to be first.
Yeah, and there's like like his fight IQ's gotten better too, where he's not like in those moments where he's having success, he doesn't like get wild. You know what I mean? Like he stays composed really well.
Are you thinking about the liver kick?
I mean, not just that. It's little things like when Pineda would try to just go toe to toe with him in this fight, and he just sits back and then bam, the 1-2 through the pipe. And
1-2 was money all night.
Yeah,
all night.
And he has him up against the fence. He hits him with the 1-2. Doesn't go crazy because he hits him clean with the 1-2. Doesn't go nuts. Doesn't overexpose himself. He almost did in the 3rd round, but he was able to keep himself composed. and not get taken down, but it was close. And that was the difference, because Bruce Leeroy in the past does get taken down there, does end up on bottom for the rest of that round. And then who knows how the round goes, but not in the,
And
not
the
this Bruce
urgency to
Leeroy.
get up. The urgency
Yeah.
to get up from Bruce Leeroy, super good. But he had this one where he comes in with the right, almost like a feint, right? He extends a little bit, and then he puts his entire body stepping into and
Yeah.
through the fighter with that body shot right to the midsection. And the loud thud every single time he landed at. But he went to the body so much. And that's one of your favorite things, is fighters going to the body.
And it's great when it's already a fighter I like that does it, because I'm like, yeah, that's my boy. Because so the way this fight, also, side note, I was telling you about that list that I have, that ongoing list for categories, knockouts, submissions, fights, all that stuff. This is in there for fight of the year for me, in my opinion. It probably won't get the recognition towards the end of the year, that especially we got Dustin Poirier versus Gaethje coming up, things like that.
Oof.
But this is one to hold on to for the year, because man, that first round, Bruce Leeroy's in there. He's tagging him. He's in and out. They're going for takedowns. He's reversing takedowns. He ends up on top. He gets put in that armbar, that Pineda armbar. That I was like, damn it. I was like, this is the Bruce Leeroy of the past, where he's getting a little too careless and he ends up in a bad position. Now he's getting armbar. That's the old Bruce Leeroy. But then his arm goes backward, doesn't give a fuck, gets up, gets out of the armbar, and I was like, yeah. And he beat him up pretty good at the end of that first round. And I was like, that's a Bruce Leeroy round. Pineda almost finished him with that armbar, but that's a Bruce Leeroy round. And then the second round, Pineda did a fantastic job taking him down, grinding him out a little bit, and he steals the round. And I was like, oh shit, that's the split. Like
1-1.
The third round decides it. Usually, if it's 1-1 going into the third, the guy who won the second round has that momentum. He'll usually end up taking the third round.
Especially if it was in that fashion where it's a takedown and it's a grueling round and they're grinding him out, so. Yeah,
but Bruce Leeroy, he looked fresher. He looked in better shape. And I think it was the body shots even early, like you mentioned in the first round, where he's literally like his whole body. Yeah, exactly. There was a moment, I think it was in the third round, where Pineda went to stand up off the mat and he took his time with it. And I was like, ooh, I think he's broken a little bit.
Yep.
And then the third round started and Bruce Leeroy was just up there, hits him a couple times, kicks him to the body. I mean, I'm not even showing these pictures. That's the second round. Normally Rich does the pictures, That's the second round. But then that body kick, dude, and Pineda just puts his hands on his hips, takes a step back, and is like, I don't really want to be in here. I think he's like, oh, wait, no, yeah, I do. And then kept coming forward. That third round was fucking awesome because for the first 2 minutes, it was just Pineda's a heavy bag. And it's like, which one of these body shots is going to finish this fight? And I think it was Mark Smith that was reffing this one.
Yep.
Where there was a moment where he's standing there and Mark Smith's looking at him and he's like, go away. I'm still in this. Go away. I was like, shit.
No, but I thought he was close to stopping it, though, because when he put his hands on his hips to step back, I felt like, did Mark Smith tell him something?
He must have. Because he did it a couple times where he almost just stopped. And he's like, I'm not even in a fight right now. I'm just standing here in pain.
Nuts, man.
But that's the thing. Bruce Leeroy, if he overextended himself thinking he's going to get the finish, he might get caught. Pineda was still throwing bombs. He might get taken down. He might get grounded out for the rest of that third round. But he didn't. He almost got taken down. But he was able to get up right away and put it back on him. But man, that last 45 seconds where Pineda's just zombie walking him down, trying to throw bombs, I was like, please do not get caught in these last 30 seconds.
I know,
and
man.
He did it.
And there's a shot that Pineda had landed, but after watching the replay, it was more Bruce Leeroy being off balance and taking a step back. But he didn't seem rocked. He got right back up. And you mentioned Bruce Leeroy being smarter. After the liver kick, you see Pineda hold his side right there and step back. He's grimacing. Mm-hmm. And Bruce Leeroy comes in closely. He doesn't blitz. Comes in closely. And then Pineda throws a wild right from there. And then he just steps back and then comes back in. And I was like, that's exactly why he was being more cautious. Because Pineda was still dangerous up against a cage.
Yeah. And you can see the eyes from Bruce Leeroy, because anytime he'd throw one of those haymakers, he was like well out of the way. He was like, he's throwing the right hand now. Okay. And he ducks it and then he rips. And I was like, man, this is when Bruce Leeroy is on, he's very
like
fun to
Matrix,
watch.
dude. Like the punches are coming in slow motion from, you know what I mean? Like he's seeing everything.
Yeah. I love it.
So good.
What a
I
great,
know, me too.
I mean,
So
great
happy for him.
fight. I'm glad it won fight of the night. Spoiler alert. Also, I don't know if you saw in the when he was leaving the cage, like a little girl like walked up, and I don't know what she said to him, but then he showed her his glove, and then took his shirt off and gave her his shirt, and I was like, Bruce
Damn,
Leeroy
man,
is so
this is
sick,
good dude, man.
So cool.
So he's been on a tear though. Steven Peterson, Chase Hooper, Austin Springer, Kevin Kroom, Songwoo Choi.
Shout out Kevin Kroom.
Lost to Sadiq Yusuf. Comes and knocks Juicy J's head off with that head kick.
That was incredible.
And then Daniel Pineda. I mean, he's been on a tear, man.
I mean, what is that, like 7 in his last like 8 fights? He's won 7 of them, something like that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 8.
Come on,
cause math. No,
math.
No, we're wrong. 9.
8 out of 9.
9 out of his last 10. 9 out of his last 10 he's won.
Come on, man.
Cause math more.
Cause math. And he beat Kevin.
Yeah. And
Shout
he
out
lost
Tim
to
Elliott.
Crone Gracie before that, to a rear naked choke in that first round. But man,
nothing to be ashamed of.
Like I said, the evolution. We're witnessing the evolution.
Plus, anybody who beats Kevin Kroom is a good person. Good guy.
There you go, man. All right. Up next, legend Jim Miller going up against Jesse Butler.
Man, what is happening? This card was almost like, you never get like a perfect card as far as like as a fan goes, where all your boys win, but this was close. Arlovski not so much, and Kai got robbed, but with Bruce Leeroy, Jim Miller, I mean, Tim Elliott, it feels good, especially when I don't know what the odds were in this fight. Obviously, Butler's making his debut on short notice. He looked like he was in shape. I've never heard of him before this, and that's no disrespect. But
I like his mustache.
It's not bad. Jim Miller, how old is he? I can't look anything up because I have the slideshow.
I could pull it up, man. Jim Miller. Let's see here. 65. No, 39.
65. Might as well be.
39.
Also, shout out Toasty. I wasn't paying attention to the chat because I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. But Toasty's here. He said, crazy to remember Daniel Pineda fought Mike Brown for ATT. Damn, that must be a long time ago. I don't remember that. And Toasty also said, refs must have going through a software update on this card or something with how many stand-ups and point deductions. Yeah, the reffing, I don't know what was going on this card. There was weird reffing stuff, weird broadcast stuff, where they mentioned, Herb Dean's first assignment of the night when he was on like the second fight of the card. Like, there was another fighter who's a featherweight, and Lorosenko was like, he's gonna make some noise at bantamweight, and it's like,
oh yeah,
and
I saw that one too. I was like, wait, bantamweight?
Yeah, there was a few like weird hiccups, and like the broadcast would like stay on them, and then they're like, oh, are we supposed to be talking? Okay, I guess we'll fill the air with something, and then it cuts, and you're like, what's happening? Weird night.
Rich the Casual must have been absent for them too. Also at a street.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyways, Jim Miller. He's 100 years old. They keep giving him these young guys coming in, these hungry guys, and he just keeps winning. He got past Lyme disease, and he just kills everybody.
It's like Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like he got bit, but by a tick instead, and then
that's a superhero. That's a show.
Yeah,
there you go,
man. No, I have not. I most definitely have not seen the tick. But hey, Jim Miller, and I think part of it is also the UFC doing this guy a solid, and wanting him to make it to UFC 300.
He's not fighting ranked guys.
No, and I don't want to see him fight ranked guys either.
Toasty does.
These are fun.
Toasty says Jim's retirement fight is going to be for the UFC title at this rate. I mean, you put against
he's going to be on a 20-fight win streak.
Yeah.
Not ranked in the top 15 yet.
Yeah, nobody ranked.
I mean, what else are you going to say, though? I mean, I got to give props to Jesse Butler because he was game. He came in. He was
Yep.
He was like, dude, let's go. Swing and bang. But unfortunately, he was just able to swing before he could bang, man.
Jim Miller
He got
banged.
knocked out really quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dude, that was a solid shot with that left hand right on the chin. And then as he sat down against the fence.
Yeah, this is similar. I don't think this is the exact setup because I think they were closer to the fence, but it was very similar where Jim rolled with the shot and the punch just glanced off the top of his head, just like right here. And the left is cocked like it is right here. And he just, I mean, it reminded me of Dillashaw versus Garbrandt where he's just reaching back with that hook. He puts him out with the left hook, squats him right there. And then that uppercut, there's no picture of it, but the uppercut that like put him out was nasty. Good measure. I mean, look at him.
Yeah.
As he walks off. I mean, the
what
guy's
a picture.
Like 60 years old. I mean, come on.
What a picture.
Amazing. And I don't know if you saw, but Dan Murgliata in like when they're like announcing it or whatever, he's like, I don't know how you keep doing it or something like that. You could barely hear him. He said something like that. I was like, that's cool, man. Everybody respects Jim Miller, you know?
Yeah, how can you not? 36 and 17 now. 36 and 17. Holy smokes, man.
And when was his first UFC fight?
Let me see. I'm pulling it up right now.
While you do that, Toasty mentions that angle on the leg of Butler. That's tough.
Looks like it was 2008.
2008, man.
The headliner was Bisping versus Lieben.
Ah, damn.
UFC 89. UFC 89.
I was pissed that fight. That was when Lieben kept headbutting Bisping's jab. Lieben was my favorite fighter of all time, so I was bummed that night.
But yeah, 2008, dude.
That's about, man, that was a cool era of the UFC. That was a real cool era. I think the year after that, they put out the first THQ UFC game, and that was like amazing. It was so much fun. Good times.
Dude, taking a look at this, man, he's gone up against a who's who. Donald Cerrone, Benio Dariush, Danny Castillo, Michael Chiesa, Yancy Medeiros. I missed that guy, by the way. Nate Diaz, Joe Lozon, Benson Henderson, Charles Oliveira. Ever heard of these guys? Jeez. Oh, my God, dude. This guy is just finding everybody.
Takanori
Gomi? Takanori Gomi, bro? Dustin Poirier, Anthony Pettis? Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's crazy. All with Lyme disease. Legend. Taking like 100 pills a day. Like, it's crazy, man. Dude. Toasty says back when sponsors were allowed. The good old days.
Yeah, when fighters actually used to be able to make a living just off of sponsors. Condom Depot, that was a classic. All right, man.
But so UFC 100, that's obviously the thing. Every time Jim Miller fights, cool, we're going to get to the UFC 300. But like, just because it's talked about all the time shouldn't make it like less crazy. UFC 100, UFC 200, and UFC 300, like it's going to happen. It's insane.
Yeah.
Jim Miller is he's gonna go down. He better be in the Hall of Fame.
He will be.
He never touched a belt or anything. I think Bisping in the post fight on this fight told him that you've done it all in here. You've been champ or something like that. And then he's like, "What's next? What else do you want in here?" And it's like, "Wait, when was Jim Miller champ? I don't remember him being
win
champ.
My first belt."
Yeah, he's like, "It'd be great to win a belt, Bisping." You asshole.
All right, you want to move on to the next one? Your boy?
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Just I don't know how often he fights until 300. We're close. 289 is next week, so maybe he has one more before UFC 300. I don't know.
Oof.
How close? That's so crazy. We're so close to that. But we can move on.
I know, man. I know. All right. Tim Elliott versus Victor Altamirano.
This is another one. It just warms my heart that Tim Elliott got the win here because he's been going through it. I don't know if you've been following all that.
Well, so something's going down at the gym with his boo, right?
So speaking of Kevin Kroom, who lost to Bruce Leeroy, and Gina Mazzani, Tim Elliott, also shout out, this is the TMZ segment, but Tim Elliott was married to Gina Mazzani, right? Former UFC fighter.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Kroom officiated their wedding, much like you officiated mine. And longtime training partner, all that stuff. And Kevin Kroom was cheating, or Mazzani was cheating on Tim Elliott with Kevin Kroom. Tim Elliott puts him on blast because he's like, I'm tired of people asking what happened. How come we're not together anymore? Why don't we see each other anymore? Like together. And he's like, I'm tired of covering for them, but that's what was happening, to the point where Mazzani slept with Kevin Kroom on their wedding night. Yikes. The wedding that he officiated. Yikes.
No.
Real bad. Just terrible stuff. And
oh my God.
So he's been going through that. You lose a wife and you lose a good friend. Can't be fun. And then, day of the fight, he finds out, oh yeah, they don't comp you tickets anymore for friends and family. So he's like, well, it would have been nice to know that before I flew people out to this fight, because now they don't get tickets.
Wow.
So he's just, it's a rough go. And Dana cleared it up. I think he said only at the Apex, only the main event fighters get comp tickets because there's not enough seating or whatever, because they got to sell their tickets for like $10,000 or whatever they are. But all that being said, like Omar says, divorce best base in MMA. Mackenzie Dern proved it.
Shout out Omar.
Proved it. Shout out Omar.
Wow. Toasty didn't lose a friend. Dude clearly was always trash. Exactly. Lost a snake. Snake in the grass.
And that's why Bruce Leeroy beat him.
Wow, dude.
But yeah, crazy.
That's
so that's the whole story of that.
But his performance.
As we cut to a picture of him getting high kicked.
Damn, bro. Hey, come on, man. He's going through it. You put a picture of him getting kicked in the face.
But the kicks were Victor's downfall. From the first kick he threw, Tim Elliott caught it and took him down, and then just beat the brakes off him for the whole first round. Tim Elliott, man, it's awkward MMA, right? That's like his thing. He's so unorthodox in there, where he's just on his bike the whole time, just moving backwards away from that kick. Hey, Victor, maybe don't throw the left high kick over and over again when he's circling away from it, because he's catching it and taking you down. But if it's working, keep it working. Tim Elliott was landing that big overhand right, that big clubbing shot that Victor was just eating. I mean, just an all-around great performance from Tim Elliott.
Yeah, and they had mentioned too that Tim Elliott expressed the concern of not being able to outpace his opponents anymore. Mm-hmm. He looked pretty good last night, man.
And
the pace
to be
was on.
Fair, I think Victor took this fight on short notice, so maybe that comes into it. But that's always been Elliott's game plan, you know? He always fights like this. And they even said it, I think, probably in a different fight on the card. But they mentioned that your body's conditioned in the way that you condition it, right? So Tim Elliott, it's a big work ethic, but as long as he's doing what he is wanting to do and what he's used to doing, it's not going to tax him as much as it would be if he was being forced to fight a different style. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that right.
No, yeah, for sure.
Because I mean, this was a textbook Tim Elliott fight. Awkward footwork, landing weird angle shots, good crafty takedowns, good sweeps, and top pressure and some ground and pound.
And do you remember? Goes through the Ultimate Fighter, and this was the period where they're trying to figure out, like, what do we do with DJ? Like, he's just running for everybody right now. You know, we got to figure something out to draw some numbers, and they're like, hey, I got an idea. Yeah, let's get the Ultimate Fighter together, and the winner faces DJ. So they go into this, and everybody's like, oh, well, DJ's just gonna run through him again.
Yeah,
but he put up a really good fight, man.
It's one of the best DJ fights in the UFC. Is his Tim Elliott fight? It was fantastic.
For sure.
It was fantastic. And it was weird. They were talking about DJ quite a bit during this fight, too. And I was like, that's cool. I feel like they don't really talk about UFC fighters who leave and go to another organization. So it was cool to hear some DJ love. Blunderbub
hey, shout out Blunderbub.
Glad I made it today to hear how insane the UFC was this week. Shout out Blunderbub. I actually really liked this card. I keep saying I've been trying to be more positive about the UFC, but they keep making it difficult.
Every week.
This card, fantastic. It was a great card.
You're being positive right now? Like, for real?
You got to give it credit where credit's due, you know? Like, this was a fantastic card. Maybe it didn't have the name value, but the entire main card delivered. It was fantastic. And then some prelim. Like, what else can you ask for? UFC Vegas 74.
1:20 p.m. Real positive about UFC. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Want to move on to the next one? I think it was Silva versus Souza, right? Karine Silva versus Ketlen Souza.
Yeah, this would be a quick one too.
This one was nasty. Look, so
Yeah,
the way that Karine Silva
Silva's good, man.
took that leg really quickly, right? And at first I was like, okay, it looks like she's gearing up to get her into like an ankle,
Mhm.
ankle lock, and then she taps, let's go, and I was like, what just happened? I don't understand what just happened. Did she actually turn it? What happened? And then they show the slow motion replay, and you see the knee ever so slightly just go
Oh
off to
man,
the side.
yeah,
Disgusting.
yeah.
And then she had rolled to the side like that.
She rolled to the side because her leg's probably on fire, and you see Silva's hands like, I'm sorry, I destroyed your leg and potential career.
Yeah. She looked like she felt
Hello.
bad about it, but
Because it was a weird
you gotta do what
position.
you
It
gotta
was
do.
like
It
a
was
knee
really
bar
weird
on
position.
on the side like that, like she was gonna go for like a heel hook or something, and then the knee pops from just
Did it look
almost
like
just
she
sitting
did that
back.
intentionally? So when I watched it again, it almost looked like she was going for that heel hook, right?
Mhm.
And then it looked like she moved to try to get better positioning, and
Maybe.
like the angle that she was in caused the knee to bend sideways like it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell
Effective.
whether it was intentional, whether
Yeah, I
it was
mean,
accidental.
and Souza was so calm also. She was so calm, and then it popped, and it was like, oh shit, like maybe should have been more. But it was a weird position that you wouldn't expect your knee to pop in.
Toasty says her shoulders twisted as she pulled back. Ugh.
Yeah, it was bad. And shout out
Shout out
Tony,
Tony.
wedding with the boys.
Yeah, Tony's going to the wedding too. You're gonna be over there. It should be a good time. Make sure
Yeah,
you send pics, dude. Send pics.
try to get some pics.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, but fun fight. Silva's one to watch for. She's a finisher, man. I can't pull
Yep.
up her Tapology, but I think she has most finishes. She has like 16 or some crazy number of finishes like that.
16 wins.
Are they all finishes?
16 wins. Looks like it so far. Scrolling down, and they all look like knee bar, Darce choke, guillotine choke, arm bar, heel hook, punches. Loss. Her one loss was by decision. Yeah, everything else, man. Elbows, triangle choke, arm bar, punches. Holy smokes.
Yeah, she's one to watch.
This girl is dangerous, man.
Yeah, dude.
Ask
Super
Ketlen
dangerous.
Souza's knee. That is nuts. All right. From here, we're still going to cover Zaleski versus Nurmagomedov, right?
Yeah, we'll go quick on this one, but Abubakar continues to be
Great
the
name.
black sheep of the family. He just for some reason can't put it together like everybody else has. But Zaleski dos Santos in this fight was perfect. You have to be perfect to fight someone with that last name, because otherwise you're going to get taken down and you're just going to get mauled. And Abubakar just could not take him down. He just couldn't take him down. He hurt him in the beginning of the first, and just really grinded him against the cage. Couldn't quite get the takedown. Dos Santos just had fantastic takedown defense, and every inch. You know how like sometimes it's like, hey man, just because you got an inch, don't strike there, because as soon as you strike, you're gonna get taken down.
Yeah.
Just separate completely, then start striking. Not Dos Santos in this fight. Every inch he got, he was taking something, landing with damage. It was a really good performance. We'll just go through some of the pictures, but I mean, every time they separated, he's lighting them up with shots. Abubakar couldn't really land anything, couldn't get the takedowns, and Dos Santos was just, I mean, even in this clinch, like the clinch, the knees, the body in the clinch, the elbows he was able to land in the clinch off the fence. I mean, just a fantastic performance. You literally have to be perfect, and he was, except for probably the most controversial thing outside of the robbery on this card, but at the end of the second, Dos Santos lands a knee to the head, like right at the bell, maybe a little bit after the bell. And Abubakar complains real quick and then just fucking smacks the shit out of him after the round. Look at this.
Oh, yeah.
That's so funny, dude. People are like,
look, even Murgliata thought it was funny. Look at him.
yeah.
Like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Calm down.
And people are coming at Abubakar for this. They're like, what an asshole. You slapped him after the round. And it's like, well, he did eat a knee pretty much after the bell. Like, it was on the line. Like, you're in a fight. I'm not surprised. This is like a knee-jerk reaction to getting hit late. You know what I mean? So I don't really blame him for it. But this is what it looks like when you beat a Nurmagomedov. It's a big accomplishment.
That's a good picture.
No matter who it is.
That's a good picture. Abubakar falls to 17-4. Still respectable, man.
Still respectable for sure. He just
not for the Nurmagomedov, so.
No, and he looked lost when he couldn't get the takedown. And that's not good.
All right,
but
man.
Zaleski de Santos is fun to watch, man. I'm looking forward to his next fight.
From Dos Santos to Santos, are we going to be covering Daniel Santos versus Johnny Munoz, or are we skipping that one for sake of time?
We'll talk about it really quick because there's not much to talk about. But what I will say is, because you didn't catch this one, right? You missed this one?
No, I believe no. Yeah, I did not catch that one.
Yeah, so this one, first 10 seconds is a pretty bad nut shot on Munoz. So he takes some time. There's another nut shot later on the other way, and then another one at the end of the fight. And I legitimately thought they were going to stop the fight in the third round from the nut shot. They take a point away from Santos. Outside of the fouls, the fight was basically Santos picking him apart, Munoz trying to get takedowns, ending up on his back, ending up getting beaten up. And that was pretty much the whole story of the fight.
Okay. I see what you did there.
But I'm not going to show it on here because we're a family show. But because people were clowning on him, I guess, saying like, oh, the nut shots weren't that bad, blah, blah, blah. Dude posted a picture of that shitty bottle they make you piss in the hospital when you're laying in their bed. And
blood.
It's not looking good.
Oh.
And people were like, you only bleed. Your piss only bleeds if you hit the kidneys or the liver or stuff like that. And it's like, what? Like piss comes from your bladder.
Was that bad?
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was bad.
Oh, rough,
feel for the guy.
Well, hopefully everything's all right down there. You know what I mean?
It's all good. You ever had to use one of those though in the hospital?
What?
That like bottle they give you? Yeah.
No.
Dude, it's the worst thing in the world.
It's like a water bottle, and they just tell you to piss in it.
So one time I had to stay the night at the hospital. I had surgery, and they're like, the nurse comes in, she checks on me. She's like, "Oh, have you gone to the bathroom yet?" And I was like, "No, just fucking watching TV in here." And she's like, "Okay." Then she leaves, and like 10 minutes later, she's like, "Have you gone yet?" And I was like, "No, like I don't need to." And she was like, "If you don't in the next 10 minutes, we're gonna have to put a catheter in." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I didn't realize we were waiting for me to go to the bathroom.
You're being timed?
Yeah, I guess. And I was like, "No, I'll just okay. I'll try to go to the bathroom." And they give you this bottle that's like this big, and it's like it goes up on one side. And I'm like, I can't get out of bed. I just had surgery, so I'm like laying there, and you have to like. I'm trying to keep this family friendly, you know what I mean? But you have to use the bottle to pee in, but you're laying in bed. You know how hard it is to force your body to go to the bathroom while you're laying in a bed? It's like the most difficult thing. Your brain's like, don't do this.
Yeah.
Some dude's in
the
the bed.
You've been trained since elementary school not to, you know?
Yeah. I'm like 16 years old. The dude next to me is like in the next bed over. I'm just like, and if I don't, they're gonna give me a catheter. You kidding me, bro?
The pressure. Oh my god.
Yeah, awful.
That sounds awful. That's probably the worst part of his night, actually. Now that you mention
it. Yeah. I don't know. The nut shots were probably worse.
Probably.
We can move on.
Let's move on here. Let's go on to Dante O'Mays versus Andrei Arlovski. Arlovski, how much longer are we going to see this?
Yeah, it's not quite the Jim Miller story, you know? Similar.
No.
Been fighting forever. Arlovski's one of the OGs. Growing up, Arlovski, in my opinion, was the scariest guy that I could imagine.
Fangs?
The fang, the long hair, the big beard, the fang mouth guard. And I was like, this guy's terrifying. And he's beating giants.
Up bullies?
Yeah. He was on Bully Beatdown.
Bully Beatdown, dude. You know, if he was hanging out with Mayhem Miller, he was wild too, you know?
Yeah, exactly. As a kid, Arlovski was like the scariest fighter to me. And what he's been able to do and how long he's been able to keep this going is super incredible. And he won that first round, in my opinion. He's got that darting in style now where he just bop, bop, and he's gone. Dante Mays, pieced him up a little bit at the end of that first round, hurt him with like every shot he landed at the very end, like 3 punches, landed a Superman punch that you could tell it wobbled him, stung him.
Yeah.
Clean,
By the
oh
way.
no. Yeah, clean.
By Dontel Mays. It was nice.
Yeah, and I was like, oh no. And then second round starts. They go out, and Arlovski's not really darting anymore. And I was like, oh no, this is not going to look good. And then he lands that overhand, and it was good for Dontel Mays, but and I mean this with no disrespect. I'm not going to root for you if you're fighting Arlovski, no matter how cool you are. It's just not going to happen. How are you going to root against the legend Andrei Arlovski, you know?
Yeah.
Toasty says that episode was against someone trying to game the system because he was an actual trained amateur fighter. He didn't know he was fighting Andrei. Big John told the story. Dude, when that show aired, I was like, how are they going to get Andrei Arlovski in here to fight some random? Like, this is not okay. I get it. He's a bully. He's a bad dude, all this stuff. But, like, this is not okay. And then, yeah, you hear that story later, and you're like, okay, that makes more sense.
Hilarious. That's the first time I've heard that, actually.
Yeah.
I got to look it up.
I'm sure there's some crazy stories about that show. There must be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There must be some crazy stories.
Dude, but, Mace did a really nice job slipping. Holy smokes.
I know.
Slipping the jab, though, because Andrei came in with that jab, slipped it perfectly, and then came in with that massive overhand right there. You have a picture of right here.
Yeah.
Oof.
Sat him down, and I mean, that was it. And you hate to see it. I don't want to watch old guys get knocked out.
He's a legend. 34-22 now. How long are we going to do this, Andrei? How long?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
All right. What are we covering next? Are we going to cover
yeah, we'll skip some. We'll
Naimov versus Mullarkey?
Yeah, exactly. That's the move. This was a very fun fight.
Naimov came in the biggest underdog of the card, right?
He took this on super short notice. Super short notice. Who's Mullarkey supposed to fight? It was going to be a sick fight. It was one of the few that on paper it was like really looking forward to seeing on this card.
Kutateladze.
Yeah, I mean, come on. What a banger.
Yeah.
Kutateladze just cannot make it to a fight. It's crazy. But so Naimov steps in and it looked like, yeah, that's why the odds were stacked like that. After that first round, Mullarkey really had his way with them. Mullarkey looked so good in that first round. He wasn't getting reckless because sometimes he'll get a little reckless, turn into a firefight, which he's good in. But you don't need to do that. Maybe he should have in this one. But he looked fantastic in that first round. Just a complete dismantling round for Mullarkey. And I was like, man, Naimov's tough as nails. This is going to be a long night for him. And then the second round started. And it was more of the same. Mullarkey was landing those shots, being really smart in and out. And then he came in a little bit too aggressive. And Naimov really just threw one of those stand your ground right hooks, where it's like, dude, you got to throw something just to gain the respect. You can't keep getting walked down like this. And then he knocked him out.
As he's taking a step back, too.
Yeah.
As he was taking a step back, because Mullarkey came in aggressive, like you said, and he's taking a step back, swings that right, and catches him right on the button. Man, before that, Mullarkey, I felt like, was doing such a good job controlling the octagon and dictating where the fight was taking place. I mean, he was able to get out of the way of some shots. He looked really good. But, it's a fight game. Sometimes you're the nail. Sometimes you're the hammer, dude.
Yeah. Toasty says, slightly early stoppage in my view. I thought so, too. But then
so did Mullarkey.
So did Mullarkey, but then when he tried to get up to complain, he fell back on his butt, and that's usually a sign. In my opinion, that's a sign of it's okay. Stop.
That was a good stoppage.
Could you have let it gone? Probably. Maybe he was going to come back into it. But anytime a guy tries to get up to complain and then they fall back down, that's a good stoppage. It's okay.
Did you see too the crowd that they showed that was at that soccer stadium to view this fight? It's like a watch party at And he told him, Bisping afterwards, he's like, the fans showed up at 4:30 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, dude. A.m. Usually means it's it's in the morning, but oh, man. So funny, bro.
We also
had
got
a couple of knee slappers last night for sure.
We also got this
what a great picture.
Yeah. And he's
What
like,
if
at the end of the game, he's like, "Do I get to keep the hat?" And he's like, "No, that's mine."
Such a
Oh,
great
man.
moment, man. I love whenever Bisping's on the team, on the broadcast team, man. It's so funny.
Yeah, what did you think of Lorosenko on the card in the broadcast?
I think that she needs to find like I feel like she's still a little uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they're all still trying to find their groove together.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have like a Bisping and Felder that vibe really well off of each other.
Yeah.
And Fitzgerald, same thing, right? But there's so many times last night where Sanko would like start talking and be interrupted right away by Bisping, and vice versa. Like they just need to learn how to gel together a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But not
it seems
bad.
like she's taken on the role of like interjecting like a technique thing that she's noticing. And I think she needs to do more than just that, because like that's great and it's cool to pull that stuff out, but it seemed like she was kind of holding on to like 3 or 4 things that she kept pointing out in fights throughout the whole night. And it's like, if that's going to be your thing, you can't just keep, oh, they're going to go for, he's trying to use the Kimura lock here to at least defend the take. She called that out in 3 different fights. And he's going to look to reap the leg here. That was like all night. She kept saying the same thing. And like, that's fine. But it's probably the uncomfortableness and not knowing her position yet. But it needs to not just be that. There needs to be a little bit of like flow between them, instead of just her calling something out real quick and then she's silent until she calls something out again. And there needs to be like a familiarity where she can at least bounce off somebody and not just do an interjection and then she's gone. Interjection, then she's gone. I don't know if her and Bisping are the right match. It seems like Bisping doesn't want to. I don't know, but maybe Felder. It doesn't seem like Bisping like cares what she says.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anytime she says something,
he interrupted her a few times.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird.
And he was like, "Sorry, Laura," and then he'd continue talking anyways. And he's just like, "Yeah, whatever." Like you said, he was just like,
"Yeah,
my turn to talk."
They said during the first fight, I think that she was the ground expert of the crew, while Michael was supposed to focus on stand-up. If that's the case, UFC needs to get out of 2010, because people understand fighting now and they don't need that. That was like the whole thing. That was Joe's role, was like, he's the guy that's going to come in and explain jiu-jitsu.
Tosi said her and DC would be a train wreck, and that would be a train wreck I would love to watch and listen to. So let's try it one time. Let's try it one time. Why not? Why not?
They have that weird like flirty banter where they're like talking shit to each other all the time. It's like, it's so funny.
Oh my god, dude! I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right? Those were all the fights we're going to cover.
That's all the fights we're going to cover. We do
Moment
have
of silence, man.
Yeah, let me just turn this up, switch that on, and we'll go to. I don't know how Rich does this. There it is. We'll show this. There we go. Moment of silence. Lots of them.
Oh, I like the dark background too.
Yeah. Silva versus Miesha Tate. Tate got injured. I'm not really bummed that we missed that fight. I think it got rescheduled. I feel like that fight's still going to happen at some point from what I saw. Tim Elliott was supposed to fight Nascimento. Nascimento pulled out, and that's why Victor took the fight on short notice. Got outworked. Brendan Allen versus Hermanson would have been a fun fight, but Hermanson withdrew. That'd be a fun grappling match, I think. Onama versus Ashkabov would have been awesome. Onama would have definitely got the win there. It would have been a fun fight. Ashkabov pulled out. Jim Miller was originally supposed to fight Ludovic Klein. So from what you're saying, like
tougher comp would have been tougher competition.
So as these fight cancellations for Jim Miller happened for this card, it progressively got easier, right? Ludovic Klein versus Jim Miller, that's a tough fight.
It is.
Klein pulls out. They put in Jared Gordon. That's an easier fight. Jared Gordon just got knocked out like a week ago from that headbutt. That much easier fight. They pull out Jared Gordon. They put in your boy making his debut.
That guy,
mustache.
Yeah.
And he gets knocked out.
Jesse Butler.
Shout out Jesse Butler. Got a mustache like a Butler.
For sure.
That's how I'll remember.
He does.
But the biggest one for me, in my opinion, the Kutateladze versus Jamie Mullarkey. Just because like Kutateladze looks so good, but it's just so rare. He keeps pulling out. This one, it says he withdrew, but I heard that it was visa issues. He's trying to get on the London card. it's like I just want to see him fight. You know?
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's the moment of silence.
how about monies, dude?
Monies, still only 3 for a card that I thought should have been more. Bruce Leeroy and Pineda got fight of the night. That's obvious. That was like the obvious choice. And then Jim Miller got a performance bonus for knocking out Butler, and Naimov got the bonus for that comeback knockout on Mullarkey. Dontel Mays doesn't get a bonus. Silva doesn't get a bonus for the leg lock. I mean, come on.
Yeah. What are we doing? All right. That's it, man.
It.
What do we have next week?
Next week we have One Fight Night 11, and we have UFC 289. So I think we talked about this where we're going to try to do like a split, right? We're going to cover some of the UFC, then we'll switch to ONE FC, One Championship. 289 is not looking great.
Yeah, so that is who was it? Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana, Charles Oliveira versus Benil Dariush, and then from there, it's
Ige versus Landwehr is pretty fun.
Yeah, I always like watching Eric Anders fight.
Yeah, that'll be a fun fight. Imavov versus Curtis.
Nasruddin Imavov.
Curtis just pulled out of that fight, so that's not happening. It's
oh,
tough.
Really?
It's a tough one, man.
Man. Just Vicious? No?
No.
Yeah, and that's it. Well, maybe we'll really focus on one next week, huh?
And shout out Blunderbub. Speaking of one, if you guys haven't watched the Friday fights, they're on YouTube. They're always fun. It was another banger of an event. I don't know how they keep doing it, man. Every Friday, putting on these crazy fights. Also, if we're previewing the cards for next week, One Fight Night 11, Irsol versus Dimitri is going to be a banger of a Muay Thai fight. Cade Rotolo versus Tommy Langaker. That's going to be amazing. That's a great grappling match. Frymanov is on the card. Super Bond versus Typhon is on the card. Nikki Holskin's on the card. I mean, Amber Kitchen. I mean, it's a great card. Also, shout out Story of the Fight alum, probably more than anybody that we've ever had on. Toasty, July 22nd at the Hard Rock for Uriah Favors A1 Combat. Next fight, still Amy. A1.
Let's go.
That's
A1
so
Combat.
sick, Toasty. So
that's going to be on Fight Pass, right?
I don't know. How do they break that up? If it's Amy Toasty, is that on Fight Pass, or do they only show the pro fights on Fight Pass? I'm not sure how that works.
I'm sure you'll let us know. Shout out HLB Comer for joining us as well, saying good luck.
What a great Story of the Fight family. You know?
I know, man. I know. I love covering fights with all these nice folks. Oh, he said yes, sir.
Let's go.
So they'll be on Fight Pass. All right. Well, that's all I got. Will, do you have anything else?
No. Shout out UFC for putting together a good card.
Shout out HLB Comer, Andrew Toasty, Blunderbub, Tony for joining us as well. I believe we also had Omar on there also. It's always a lot of fun. And for anybody that's listening for the first time, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Goes a long way. Find us on, just storyofthefight.com, right?
Storyofthefight.com lists all the links, but it's also Story of the Fight on everything. TikTok, Reddit.
Super
Twitch,
easy. Can't make it any easier. All right.
No.
Everybody, thanks for watching.
HLB Comer says, is anybody pointing a gun at Will behind the camera? Hey, man.
No, but I did jot down. I jotted down June 4th. Okay, I think it was 12:40 or something like that, where Will actually complimented the UFC, and he wasn't being facetious; he was being serious.
It was a good card, man. It was a fun card. Credit where credit's due.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching another week of Story of the Fight.
How's it going, everybody? This is Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.